There are many genres of video games that people play. There's action, adventure, and sports. But there's a wide community of players that enjoy playing simulator video games. Those games include Microsoft Flight Simulator X Steam Edition, The Sims, and even Minecraft. Taking a look though at the Nintendo DS, there weren't much simulator games. Games that you probably heard of was Mario Kart DS, Cooking Mama, or even the Pokemon franchise. Now, in simulation, there's a wide variety of subgenre games that go along with it. There's construction simulation, management simulation, life simulation, and vehicle simulation. Now, there's a wide community of players that enjoy games specifically in management simulation. Management simulation are basically tycoon games. You see games like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but there's one simulation game that you've probably never heard of, and that is Toy Shop. Now, if you don't know Toy Shop, I don't blame you. This game was buried by reviewers and lost in time. The game disappeared off shelves and became lost to the general public. No one even heard of the game, and the game left, leaving it non-existent everywhere. Now, I remembered playing this game around 2013. I was at my local video game store trying to find a game for my Nintendo DS. I wanted to find a video game that suited my personality. My 10-year-old head was wrapped around business though. Now, a ton of these games for the Nintendo DS had nothing to do with business management most of the time, so upon browsing the section of video games behind the glass door, I saw a game that I thought I should get, and that game was Toy Shop. I bought it, played it, and became obsessed with the game. I didn't know why I enjoyed this type of genre. This genre seems to be the most boring type that others would think, but I still play simulator games, especially with management in it, to this day. But being 10 years old and not understanding the use of losing things, I lost the game cartridge, and especially lost my memories tied to that game also. That was until 2018. I was looking through my boxes and found my old Nintendo DS. Holding that brought back a lot of memories. But that's when I remembered one game that stood out from the rest. And that was Toy Shop. So I quickly ran up to my computer and went on to browse video game stores to see if the game was in stock. I then went on eBay with little hope since the game wasn't anywhere to be found. To my surprise though, there were sellers that were selling the video game online. So I quickly clicked add to cart and bought the game. When it arrived, it felt amazing. A game that was from my childhood was now in my hands. I then quickly popped the game into my DS and waited until it booted up. Let's talk about the game now. Now, Toy Shop was published on April 29, 2008. It was created by a small game development company called Seed Studios. Based in Portugal, they created games for the Nintendo DS all the way to the PlayStation 3. The game was published then on by Majesco Entertainment. The game starts out as two characters. You are left in charge of your grandfather's toy shop since he passed away. You have 3 years in the game to make it successful and have to raise $50,000 of profit. I know, that's a lot. You basically create toys and sell the toys. You can even change the price, arrange the store's inventory, or change the look of your business. You can even go to different locations throughout the town. You can visit the residential district, commercial district, main square, or the beach. You can even talk to the town citizens and get to know them. It was simply a peaceful business management tycoon video game. You create, sell, and socialize. Now, this game wasn't a hit. Many critics and reviews disheartened the public's interest. IGN rated the game in a negative standpoint and said, and I quote, "Much like the actual toy shop in the game, this title makes the worst kind of gift." And Metacritic rating the game at 31, which means generally unfavorable reviews. But I like to think that they aren't the type of people that like peaceful tycoon games. But with these reviews, it sunk the video game, taking it off shelves. It was simply gone without a trace. If you Google toy shop for the Nintendo DS, you're most likely to find YouTube video ads of the game. I even only found one discussion board on how to play the game, but it seemed to have died down. This was a game that was left to be forgotten. I want this game to be known. I want to see this video game on YouTube, Google searches, and see discussion boards involving this game. But there seems to be no one coming forward about the game. Everyone forgot about this. I even asked my fellow friends if they knew anything about this game. Okay, so have you heard of the game Toy Shop on the Nintendo DS?
No, I haven't heard of it before.
So, do you know the game Toy Shop on the Nintendo DS?
No, I do not.
Have you heard of the game Toy Shop on the Nintendo DS?
No, I have not heard of that game.
So, have you heard of the game Toy Shop on the Nintendo DS?
No. What even is that? And who are you? How did you even get my...
With no luck, I didn't want to wait much longer. This game has suffered enough, and I don't want to see this video game forgotten and left to dust. It's time for everybody to see Toy Shop. And what better idea it would be if I interviewed the developers of the game. So I knew this project was going to be tough. Contacting the developers of a 2008 game that no one remembers is going to be interesting. But hey, you have to start somewhere. So booting up the video game and getting to the start menu, I just clicked credits and there I was, seeing the members of the team. Here we have a lot of names to analyze, but there are 3 companies to focus on: Game Invest SA, Seed Studios, and Majesco Entertainment. Now, if you don't know Majesco Entertainment, you probably remember their distinctive video game. That is Cooking Mama. Now, before we continue, can we just talk about Cooking Mama? I mean, they have Gardening Mama, and even Babysitting Mama? I'm trying to wrap my head around this. But other than that, Majesco Entertainment is clearly the publisher of the video game. If you notice on the credits when booting up the game, you'll notice the published and distributed by Majesco Entertainment Company. So I don't want to focus on Majesco Entertainment side that much, but I do want to keep Majesco in your head. So remember that. Majesco though is a great start to go from. So going to our very trusty and non-reliable website Wikipedia, we can notice most of the published games of Majesco Entertainment. And we can find, oh my gosh, there's Camping Mama? And why are there 5 versions of Cooking Mama? And what's this? Crafting Mama? Never mind. We can notice Toy Shop on the site. Clicking it gives you nothing. Cool. Now, I wanted to add that Majesco Entertainment is slowly phasing out of gaming. Majesco Entertainment merged with Polarity TE, which is a company developing tissue regeneration technology. According to Polygon, they explained that Majesco would go forward under the Polarity name. Now, I'm not going to focus on Polarity TE and their technology in this video, but I wanted everybody to note this. So now there's Game Invest SA. Game Invest was the company that primarily helped invest the game and bought it from Seed Studios. Now, 7 people helped contribute to the game, but since they're the investors of the game, we don't have much to go out of through this company. But they were a game development studio based in Portugal. They officially closed on July 2015 though. There's just one last gaming company. That's Seed Studios. Now, Seed Studios is a company based in Portugal. Founded in 2006 by 6 people, they were a small game development company. Games they created were Toy Shop Tycoon, or Toy Shop, Sudoku for Kids, Aquatic Tales, Under Siege, and R3 Ridiculous Road Racing. They were doing good as a company, and with their small development team, the relationship with each other were friendly and balanced. Unfortunately though, things took a drastic turn. Upon their new PlayStation 3 title Under Siege, it was going great. After 3 years of production development, it was ready. The video game featured multiplayer compatibility and was sold through the PlayStation Store online, so it was a digital version sale. Unfortunately though, the release date of the game was on April 28, 2011, the time when Sony decided to shut down the PlayStation Network. The time when the Great PlayStation Network outage occurred. The PlayStation Network outage of 2011 began on April 20 and lasted until May 15. For a month, the PlayStation Network was hacked and breached. Sony had no idea of the compromise, and the hacker was able to exploit user data and compromise credit card information. By that time, Sony lost over $171 million. Unfortunately, also, it hit Seed Studios drastically. What was even worse was that Portugal was going through a financial crisis during this time. So in 2012, Seed Studios filed for bankruptcy and closed down. Analyzing all the game companies shows us that Seed Studios is the final company that I have on the list. Game Invest SA and Majesco Entertainment weren't the first creators of the game, but helped it spread for publication. That just leaves us with Seed Studios being the game development company for the game. With Seed Studios being defunct, it's going to be pretty tough trying to find the creators of the game Toy Shop. With nothing else of information to help me by, there's only one source to rely on, and that's the game. Analyzing the game's credits gives us 8 people. For the purpose of this video, I'm gonna read their names via their first name. We have Felipe, Bruno, Felipe, Jeffrey, Ricardo, Anna, Andre, and Joao. These people are the key to the game's development, so I'm gonna try to talk to each and one of them. So let's start our investigation with the team. Okay, so a good place to start with is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great resource for helping find professionals and employees. It's also a great source to create your professional resume and online resume. So going on to contact info, I see that he has a portfolio. Going on his portfolio leads us to his actual portfolio website. So clicking contact and emailing him via the contact page, I hope for a response. I actually emailed him at 3:12 a.m. So I was awake and up when I got a response 46 minutes ago. This was great. I actually got an email from the producer of the game. So I emailed him my questions and waited for a response. An hour later, I got one. So for the purpose of this video, mostly all of my interviews are held through email. But since I know people will get bored of reading it, I got some voice actors to help me out.
Hi Carlo, thanks for contacting me and playing Toy Shop. Yes, I was the producer on that game, and also took on duties of menus and interface design among other things. Glad that you enjoyed it. It was a nice stepping stone on our company back then, as we had never released a console game before.
How did Toy Shop come in the ideas board?
Me, Bruno, and another co-founder pitched 3 different ideas to an emerging investment studio that was asking for game ideas to fund. They picked Bruno's idea.
Whatever happened with Seed Studios? I can't seem to find much information about the company.
Seed Studios was co-founded by me and 5 other people. We closed it in 2012 due to the huge financial crisis that Portugal was going through at the time, plus the horrible timing for launching our PlayStation 3 title, Under Siege. Our launch week was right when the PSN outage happened in April 2011, and it hit everyone hard. We couldn't recover, and some other projects, including a PS Vita port, were left in the dust.
What was your favorite experience with Toy Shop?
It took us 7 years, from 2000 to 2007, to finally work on a console game. Getting to that point was like a dream come true, with lots of hurdles and crazy stories. Seeing the game in shops everywhere in 2008 was crazy cool, and quite an experience. I actually walked into a shop here in Portugal and bought like 3 or 4 copies because we ran out of free ones to give, and the store clerk got confused and asked if it was some multiplayer game or something. Didn't have the nerve to tell him that it was my game, so I just smiled and said they were presents.
Do you have any idea why companies stopped bringing up Toy Shop?
Cartridges are expensive to make. After we got hit by some lukewarm reviews, I am guessing they decided not to do a second printing. If I remember correctly, around only 60,000 were printed.
Were there any plans to expand it?
Nope. We jumped right to making another game.
Do you still remember anyone from the team for Toy Shop that you still work with?
Of course. Since it was a small team and 3 of us were partners, we all kind of know where everyone is now.
What was it like when the game was started for development? When Majesco Entertainment approved the game for publication?
It was the first console game ever approved for launch, made in Portugal, so obviously when the deal was made we were super happy. Also take into consideration that we didn't do the deal directly with Majesco, the investment company acted like the middleman here and took care of that.
What was your favorite stage of the game for Toy Shop?
I liked the town part. Kinda relaxing and easygoing. It was a nice break from the shop section.
If there was something you can change in the development, what would it be?
The relationship with the investment company was not that great. The owner at the time was a terrible person with no knowledge or skills whatsoever in video game development. Fortunately, everyone working there was really good people, so that balanced things a bit when discussing production issues like testing, focus groups, and so on.
I then asked Felipe if he knew more about the companies that helped through the game. So here we have 3 companies. Seed Studios worked on producing and creating the game. Shinen Multimedia made the music and SFX. And we then have Game Invest SA that invested and bought the game. But then he emailed me 2 other links, Andre and Joao. They are next for my investigation. Bruno is the game designer for the video game. Toy Shop actually wouldn't have existed if Bruno wasn't there. So there I was searching for him. I found an article mentioning his name for Seed Studios and writing for a developer diary launch. Unfortunately, the site isn't working anymore. So going on the Wayback Machine actually doesn't give us much details other than, hi, my name is Bruno and I'm the lead designer on Under Siege. So I then asked Felipe if he had any information regarding Bruno. Felipe told me that he was a bit more reclusive and doesn't use social media and give interviews often. I actually couldn't find him on LinkedIn at all, but Felipe did provide me with that link. So I checked out his LinkedIn profile and we stop here. Unfortunately though, I care about the privacy of others, so we're gonna stop here. Let me tell you right now that I was not able to contact him. I messaged him through LinkedIn and even sent a follow request, but to no avail. I even contacted the company he worked for according to his LinkedIn, but I was able to find out that he does work for that company, but doesn't provide any interviews for the game, so the request was declined.
Hi Carlo, Bruno does indeed work here. Unfortunately, we cannot provide any interviews for Toy Shop on the DS, so we will be declining this request. Thanks for pinging us a note and good luck with the investigation.
I was really hoping to talk to Bruno to discuss with him about the development of the game, like how did it start, why did you create it, what was the inspiration. So I asked, if Bruno is watching, please contact me. I'll be expecting your email shortly. Now, Joao is the person that helped create art in the game. He was responsible for creating the toys. So thanks to Felipe, I was able to find his account through a service called ArtStation. So clicking the About page, I found his email, and I contacted him to talk. And I got a response 2 hours later. So I emailed him my questions, but 3 days later I haven't received a response. I followed up with him to see which interview type he'd like. 6 days later and no response was made. I replied back for another follow-up email. No response was made. I thought I should stop and find the next person. The next day, I received a response. Now, I couldn't wait to interview him. We were going to do a video chat, and this would be the first video chat interview I would do. So upon scheduling with him, we agreed at 12 p.m. GMT, or 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But I was willing to stay awake to talk to the person that worked for art for the game. So I sent a Google Meet link on the day to meet. I was 3 minutes late, unfortunately, but I set up my station and was ready. But I got no response. I sent a follow-up email saying that I was waiting in the lobby. I got no response. Was I just ghosted? Stood up? It was 4:21 a.m. and I was still waiting in the lobby. So at 4:45 a.m. I ended the meeting and was about to shut off my computer. Until 4:47 a.m. I got a response. So I quickly set up the recording and everything back up. I turned on the Google Meet meeting, and as I was about to email him the link again, he came into the meeting. Now, this is not a voice actor. This is actually Joao.
Do you know that Toy Shop DS was the first game I ever worked for a Portuguese company, and I'm Portuguese, okay? Which is very, it's a really blast from the past. So you were 10, playing the game while that I did. You played the first Portuguese game I worked for, and you actually liked it, and that's so so cool.
What was the inspiration that, created the art for Toy Shop?
Okay, so as far as I remember, I can't remember who concepted it, but I know they wanted to go for a sort of chibi look, because that was kind of, I wouldn't say easier, but something that was kind of familiar with the DS style. Like you had Zelda, it's not Wind Waker, the other one, the Phantom Hourglass, and I think it's the Phantom Hourglass, if I'm not mistaken, and the Phantom Train, or I played a lot of DS titles, and that style kind of, in my opinion, sit well with the DS aesthetics, and that's the suspicion I have for their art style, because I really wasn't, I did not make the concepts. It was somebody else at Seed Studios at the time. I don't know who, but that's my educated guess. So yeah, and it's usually something, in my opinion, easier to make, because you can do chibi stuff real quickly, but still making it look really good and really aesthetically pleasing. I don't know if you ever checked chibi type of art from manga games and anime, and it's something that I actually really like, because they use macro shapes like big eyes, big mouth, hair, all that stuff, and you can instantly see, okay, this is a cool hairstyle, even if it's just some pixels. I understand what's going on, kind of like how do you call it, pixel art. It's basically that.
What was it like working with the game development team?
What was it like to work with the game development team, the Seed Studios?
Yes.
Well, the cool thing is, I worked with Flip, which is the producer, I think he also did some art, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but basically, since it was so long ago, the team was kind of like a family. It was really, really cool. I went to meet them one time, and they were goofs. They messed around. They loved to make cool art, and they just went, okay, let's do this game. They were actually really, they were very approachable, and they were. And I keep telling this to Flip, which is a producer, and right now I still talk to him nowadays. And what I used to say to him is, Flip, Seed Studios, when I worked on Toy Shop, was the only Portuguese client I ever had that actually paid me on time, and it paid me good rates. And that is true. They were the only ones, you know.
Do you still have any other communication other than Felipe with the game development team?
Yes. Matter of fact, one of the guys that I don't know if he was there working on Toy Shop. I think he was. One of them made concepts. He worked on Amplify. I think he works right now at Supercell. I actually have to ask him if he worked on the game because I can't remember very well. And then we had Elder Pinto, which I also don't remember if he worked on the on Toy Shop, but if he did, he worked on Under Siege, which was another production by Seed Studios, and he's right now at Blizzard. And I work alongside him basically. And besides Flip, there was another guy that was called Flip Pichel. We all have weird names, and he was really really cool guy. And I haven't been with him since in a while, but he was a really really cool guy, and I just wish I could meet him again, but due to the pandemic, it's very hard. But he was really cool, and his art style was very inspiring as well. And he's working right now for I think Amplify Productions, which is a Unity-based tools, which they also made a game right now, which is called Decay of Logos. But they all scattered, but we kind of keep tabs on each other to know where we are and what we're doing, because it's a very very small industry in Portugal.
What was it like working at Seed Studios?
Okay, so I visited the place, and it was awesome. As in, it was in a part of the city of Porto that overlooked the river, and it was a beautiful building. It was beautiful everything. The thing is, I was a freelancer, and back then I was living in Spain, in Madrid. So when I worked for them, I worked freelance. I didn't work on site, which was a shame. I actually wanted to work with them on other projects, like actually move in, but then I don't know what happened. They stopped making games and something like that. So everybody went to their own place.
So what are you doing now after your time with Seed Studios?
Well, at the moment right now, I'm working for Airborne Studios, which is a German-based company in Berlin that we work as outsourcers for other big game studios. At the moment, I'm working on Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2, and also I am working on. I have so many projects. I contributed a bit for Crash 4, Astroneer as well, which is I don't know if you ever heard of it. Trying to find more work that I've been doing lately, because I put my fingers in a lot of pies to help out around as well. So it's a bit scattered, but yeah, I've been pretty busy.
What was your favorite experience, like working on it? Like,
Oh, definitely the making the art. It was because I really love what I do and the art style. And Nintendo DS had so many limitations, as in it was really a very limited platform in terms of polygons, texture budget, and that made it very very challenging. But I really really liked it because of that, because I really like challenges. And yeah, that's basically my favorite, more or less, because the challenge, and I love those.
if there was something you could change in the development of the game, what would it be?
Well, if I could change something, well, back then it was so much different than it is today. But back then, maybe have a bigger scope and try to appeal a bit more to more casual audiences, I guess.
Felipe is one of the people working for art for the video game. Now, Felipe is hard to find. Searching for the name led me nowhere, but I did find out that he did work for the video game Under Siege for the PlayStation 3 at Seed Studios. Now, I did learn about the website ArtStation, so I typed in his name to see if Felipe came up. Unfortunately, it only came up with 3 pictures of a video game called Decay of Logos. But the authors for those images were not the name except Ricardo. So I went back on Google and kept searching for Felipe's contact information to ask him if for an interview. A few days went by and I was still being led nowhere. I went back on ArtStation to see if maybe I typed the name wrong, but kept getting 3 pictures from someone named Ricardo. I decided to click it and see the image, but then I saw the description. I saw Felipe's name. So I clicked Ricardo's account and I went straight to the contact information and found an email. I then asked if he knew Felipe in any way and waited for a response. I wasn't expecting an email back since I'm asking for someone's contact email, and it's unlikely they would respond, but it was worth a shot. A day later, I got an email, and got a contact email from Felipe. So I emailed Felipe to see if maybe he would be interested, and surprisingly, he said yes. So I emailed him my questions, and this is what he had to say.
And thank you for your interest about an old game for the DS. I can answer these questions via email. I know you contacted the other members, so I hope you can get more information about the game. Cheers, Felipe.
What was the inspiration that created the art for Toy Shop?
Toy Shop was the first game where I worked. The inspiration for Toy Shop art was other DS games, saturated in vibrant colors, and a little of our country culture and places, at least on my side.
What was it like working for the game development team?
It was the best experience. I learned a lot. I can say that the best team and studio I worked for so far. We did 3 games and 2 prototypes after Toy Shop.
What are you doing now after your time for Toy Shop?
I'm still doing 3D for other games, but like I said, we did 3 more games after Toy Shop at Seed Studios.
What was it like when Toy Shop was started for development?
I can tell you that when the game was finished, it was a feeling of happiness and pride at the same time. For the first time, I had participated in the creation of a video game. And to imagine that someday we'll play our work was a great satisfaction.
What was your favorite experience?
Teamwork and watch the game grow and come to life.
If there was something you can change in the development for Toy Shop, what would it be?
I would change the distribution of the game. That was the bad part. Because the game was commissioned by a third party that was responsible for the game distribution. And they didn't do a good job. Overall, the development went very well. Of course, a lot of things could be improved, but we were a small team with a tight deadline and little experience. I would not change a thing because we did learn a lot.
Jeffrey was the art director for the video game. I went over to his LinkedIn profile and found that he worked for Seed Studios on his experience list and saw the game Toy Shop as part of his experience. So I wrote him an invitation to message me and waited for a response back. I even found his ArtStation profile and went on his About page to contact him. Unfortunately, I didn't get a response. I tried emailing again and a follow-up email, but still got no response. Ricardo is one person working for programming for the game. I went on his LinkedIn profile and found him. I got nervous though because of a little post he made. He was considering canceling his LinkedIn Premium subscription, which would prevent me from messaging him since I don't have LinkedIn Premium on my end. So I messaged him quickly and waited for a response. Since I couldn't leave another response as I have to wait, I even sent an invitation to see if maybe he would be interested. I didn't get a response the next day, and I was about to cross him off my list since he maybe didn't work with Toy Shop or Seed Studios at all. That was until 5 days ago, until I got a response. I got an email and decided to email him my questions. Here's what he had to say.
Hi Carlo, apologies for the delay in getting back to you. Never thought someone would bring that game back from the dead. Happy to answer any questions by email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Best of luck in growing your YouTube channel. Thank you, Ricardo.
How did you help contribute with Toy Shop, taking into consideration with game development?
I was a programmer on the project and worked on a few areas of the game, such as pathfinding. It allowed characters to walk from place A to place B whilst avoiding static obstacles. Dialogue system. It allows characters to know what to say when approached by the player. Customer queuing system. It allowed customers in the shop to form a checkout queue. Camera system. Camera automatically adjusts to its height to avoid getting inside city buildings.
Whatever happened with Seed Studios?
The company went bankrupt in late 2011, early 2012, shortly after releasing Under Siege for the PlayStation 3.
What was your favorite experience with Toy Shop?
There was only a handful of developers on that team. The feeling of being part of a small team trying to build a company from the ground up was a good experience. In regards to development, the best experience was writing the customer queuing system.
Do you still remember anyone from the team for Toy Shop that you still work with?
It was a very small team, so it's easy to still remember everyone, even after a decade. Unfortunately, I haven't worked with anyone from that team for many years. After the company died, people went their own ways.
If there was something you can change in the development, what would it be?
The iPhone was about to be released or had just been released, and I think it would have been a lot smarter for us to have developed a version of that game for that platform, as there weren't many games available for it at the time.
I also found it funny, but he emailed me another email with an image of Toy Shop Tycoon and with the caption, "Thought you would like to see what's sitting on top of my bookcase, still unopened." Now, thanks to Felipe, he showed me that Andre had a ArtStation account. So I went on it and to the About page and found his contact information. I then emailed him to see if he was interested for an interview. A day later, I got a response. He even emailed me 3 attachments from the game that he found. I'll let you take a look at the characters that appeared in the game.
Hi Carlo, I haven't thought about Toy Shop in a long time. It was the first game I worked on. I'm surprised you managed to find a copy. Feel free to email me your questions and I'll do my best to answer.
What was the inspiration that created the art for Toy Shop?
I worked with the art director of the studio. The ideas for the characters were already in place. I drew their portraits based on his direction. Our goal was to create a fun, light-hearted atmosphere for the game.
What was it like working for the game development team?
We were a small team, around 8 people. We don't have much experience developing for the Nintendo DS, so it was a learning experience for all of us. We had to help each other understand and work within the limits of the system.
Do you still have communication with that game development team?
I still keep in touch with a few members of the development team, but most of us went our separate ways.
What was it like working at Seed Studios?
Working at Seed Studios was a lot of fun during the Toy Shop days. It was my first full-time job working in game development and an important first step in my career. I learned a lot about working in a team and developing a concept art workflow. I was also an avid fan of video games, so working directly with console dev kits and being part of making a game was very exciting at that time.
What happened after the closure of Seed Studios?
After Seed Studios shut down, I got a job with a company called Gameloft and moved to their Shanghai studio. I now work as a freelance concept artist.
What was your favorite stage of the game for Toy Shop?
It was so long ago that I have a hard time remembering specific parts of the game, but there was a beach section that I liked at the time.
If there was something you can change in the development for Toy Shop, what would it be?
I wish I could redraw the game's cover. I think I could do a better job now.
It was a long journey contacting all the people that worked for the game. If you're wondering about Anna, I'm actually still in contact with her about the game as she is the executive director. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to interview her at the time of when this video was published. I'll be sure to make another video when people that worked for the game contact me back about my questions for the game. For a video game that has bad reviews and little interest to the public, it's amazing to see that everyone still remembers each other and still talks to each other. Even though the team isn't working together anymore, I still see it amazing that everyone is still in contact and are friends. I also find it nice that they were surprised that people are still playing it and have copies of the game. It's amazing to see everyone's say on the game. On Felipe's response, he said that getting to the point was a dream come true.
Lots of hurdles and crazy stories. Seeing the game in shops everywhere in 2008 was crazy cool and quite an experience. I actually walked into a shop here in Portugal and bought like 3 or 4 copies because we ran out of free ones to give, and the store clerk got confused and asked if it was some multiplayer game or something.
Or Felipe Pichel's response. Was the best experience, I learned a lot.
I can say that the best team and studio I worked for so far. We did 3 games and 2 prototypes after Toy Shop.
Or even Ricardo's response. The feeling of being part of a small team trying to build a company from the ground up was a good experience.
In regards to development, the best experience was writing the customer queuing system.
It's nice to see that for a small game development company not known to the world, they created games that interested them and made it a reality. Even though it didn't reach fame, it still brought them together. They were even surprised since this game is the first Nintendo DS game they made. From all the hardships they experienced and Seed Studios' closure, they did one thing. And I think Joao explains this better.
When you have a project, either be a YouTube channel or actually a game, just don't stop, because that's what makes it or breaks it. That's how great projects can come to be. That's how great programmers, artists, anything will emerge. So start small, like everybody, and try to give your best, but don't give up. And I don't know, it's such a hard competitive industry and so tiresome to be always on the edge of knowledge. So it can be very, very disheartening, but really don't give up, because this is a very, very fun industry, and either programming, art, all the frustrations with it, it's something that, please give it a go. It's worth it. And that's my message for everybody that watches your channel and your content. And the more knowledge there is out there, the more chances we have to have brighter people, to have more specialized people, and that's something I really admire. And that's it.
I want to thank everyone for watching. This took around a month or 2 to create, and I'm pretty amazed that I was able to contact mostly all the game developers for the video game. I just want to thank the game developers for giving a chance to talk about the game. Even though mostly the whole audience watching this video has no idea what Toy Shop is, it's still nice to see how the developers persevered during a time when it was just really hard. It's just amazing how they were able to create this game, and even though it didn't reach the status that they wanted, they were okay since they had each other, and I think that's more important than popularity for the video game. I also want to thank the voice actors and the people that said no in the beginning. You can find their names in the description. This is the first video essay I made, and I enjoyed making this, so maybe we'll see another one. Thank you all for watching.